Hi everyone, happy Thursday. Welcome to our channel, Rebecca Stew and the crew. I'm Rebecca. Today is the day we post our Dollar Tree DIYs where we use mainly items to recreate these craft projects using items from the Dollar Tree. So let's go over our supplies first. For the first project, Dollar Tree's had out these signs, or like a shadow box type sign, and I'm going to use the one that says hello. I was just there today. They also have the Gather and Family still out, and then we're going to use these new blue leaves that they have out, but any set of leaves will do. They have lots of different varieties out right now for fall. And then we will be using some Paper Studio scrapbooking paper. I chose this one from Hobby Lobby. It was 69 cents. And then we're going to use some different ribbon that matches the paper. Any ribbon or backing for the paper will do. I'm going to use the white chalk paint. Again, you can paint it any color you like or just leave it as is. You'll need some paint brushes, scissors, and some hot glue. So let's get crafty. So the first thing we need to do for this sign is the backing is attached with these little tiny staples. You just want to get something that you can get underneath of the staple and just pry one end up. Once you have that one end out of the backing, then you can just grab it with a pair of scissors and wiggle just a little bit and they come right out. Then we'll remove the backing here, and then that paper on the back is a thin piece of cardboard. It comes right off. They don't have it attached in any way, and that was perfect. I was able to move that and then use it as the stencil to just draw some lines around it on top of our scrapbook paper, so I know where to cut it, so I can cut this down to size to recover the backing of the sign. So now we're just going to cut it out with some scissors. And then I always like to check to make sure that it's sized properly before I do any gluing down or anything like that. So now I'm going to take some of that white chalk paint and just paint the whole sign white. Again, you can do any color, whatever coordinates with the backing that you're going to use. I chose the white chalk paint, and even though it's chalk paint, which usually covers really well, because the backing was so dark, it did end up taking 2 coats. And you want to make sure you paint around the sides. And since it's like a shadow box type effect, you can see inside. So you're going to want to paint the inside of the sign as well. So you'll need to flip that over and paint that as well. If not, you'll see the different color. So now that's drying, and while that's drying, we're just going to apply the paper to the backing of the sign. I just put a few dots of hot glue. It doesn't take a lot. Since I'm not going to staple this in like the last one was, I decided to go ahead and glue the paper down to the backing. So while that's all drying, I'm just going to make a simple bow. I'm using this buffalo plaid ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and all I'm doing is making loops and kind of spreading them out so they look like a fan. Once I have about 4 loops on each side, then I'm just going to take a piece of string and tie those together right in the center. Just going to make a very simple knot, and then once you have it tied off, I did use a double knot. Once you have that tied off, you just want to adjust the loops a little bit to the bow and spread them out so they look nice. And make sure you cut your string a little bit long if you're going to layer your bow, which I'm going to do here. So I'd left the strings a little bit longer so I could tie a smaller bit of ribbon, like a different bow, to the middle of this larger bow. So now that I have that all adjusted, for the smaller ribbon, I'm just going to create just like a loop, and I just keep wrapping it around my fingers about 3, 4, or 5 times. I'm not really sure how many times here, but then I just gather it together in the center and spread the loops out a little bit just to make a smaller bow for the middle so we can do a layered type effect. And since I already have that string left on the original bow that I made, I'm able to tie that right to the center here. And adjust your loops. And then since this was just a layered bow, now this is optional here. I had a little tiny bit of like baby's breath, and I put that right in the center of the bow. So it's really up to you if you want to add that or not, which is why I didn't include that in the supply list. Now we'll just flip it over now that it's dry, and we're just going to glue the backing on. And I'm going to use the hot glue just to attach the bow to the top left corner, and then we'll add 2 of the blue leaves to either side there. So I really wasn't sure where I wanted to put the leaves at first, and I like the blue for the leaves that I found at the Dollar Tree just because it really matched that paper that I found at Hobby Lobby. I actually found that paper last year, but they do have it out again this year. And so I really liked how these leaves match that backing. Has just like a hint of green towards the ends of the leaves, and it really looked nice together. So I just do 1 leaf at the top and then 1 underneath of the bow down on the side. I always check out where I'm going to put my bows and things before I glue them on, just in case I don't like where it's at. So it's always nice to try it out, because sometimes once you have it glued down, it's hard to get it back off. And that is the whole thing done. It's very simple. We're just recreating what was already there and adding a bow. And now for project number 2, I found these adorable little wooden trucks at the Dollar Tree, and we're going to make this 3D looking truck filled with pumpkins. You can use some raffia or some straw from the Dollar Tree. They have these little bags out with pine cones and these little, they're called polka dots. They're like seeds that look like pumpkins, and then you're going to need 1 of their trucks, 1 of the extra large giant craft sticks. I got these at Walmart, but you can get the large popsicle sticks at the Dollar Tree. You'll need some antiquing wax, some different colors of blue paint. I'm using a few different ones. You'll need paintbrushes again, and then you'll also need like a paper towel. You'll need scissors and hot glue. So let's get crafty. So the main part of this is we're going to just paint. As you can tell, the whole thing is just like a DIY paint project here. But all you need to do is, I'm taking this folk art. It's a chalk paint called patina. I really like the color because it looks like those teal blue trucks that you see all the time, like the farmhouse trucks. And I really like the color a lot. I actually found that at Hobby Lobby. And you're just going to paint the first side of the truck, and you can see through the trucks. You want to make sure you paint both sides, the insides and the edges. That way when you look through like the windows, you can see that it's painted and you just don't have bare wood there. So then I'm just going to use some regular black chalk paint from the Dollar Tree to do the wheels. I thought it was easier just to do a straight line at the top where the wheels meet the truck, so it looked like the fender went over top of the tire. I didn't want to try to finish that whole circle and make it look the same size, so it really worked out. I was kind of worried how it was going to look at first, but I liked it just painted straight across. I think it worked out really well. And again, you can see both sides of the tires through the holes there, so make sure you paint both sides on either side of the truck, so when you look through, you have a nice finished look. So we'll let that dry. And once the wheels are dry, I'm going to take some of that antiquing wax and use it like a stain to do the edges of the top of the bed of the truck here. I just like how it looked like old barnwood, and you just want to put just the bare minimum on the wood. You don't want to oversaturate it. And then if you need to, you can wipe off the excess with a paper towel. And again, make sure you paint the insides as well. So then I'm taking the antiquing wax and a little bit of water, and I'm just going to rub it on the truck where I would think I would see rust. So you would usually see that like around the edges, around the fenders there, the handles of the door you would see. So just kind of, rub it on. If you mess up, it's okay. You can just add some more blue paint on top and you won't even notice. It's really no rhyme or reason where it goes. You just kind of have to eyeball it and put that little bit of antiquing wax on a little bit at a time until you get it to look like you like it. Now, once I finished the antiquing wax on mine, I actually went back and added more later just because I didn't think it looked like I had enough, because we are going to paint the bumpers with some darker gray, and then the little part where the foot goes at the end of the door, we're going to paint that, and it just kind of started to blend in. So I just went back in and added some more of the antiquing wax later. So less is more, and you can always go back and add some if you need to. So I took some just regular gray paint, and I did the front fender and the grill, and I did the back fender as well, or the bumper with the light gray. I added a little bit more rust around the wheels here, and then rub that off with a paper towel. And then some more of the antiquing wax. And then we're going to paint the gray here at the bottom underneath of the door, where the running boards would be, and then around the door handle and around the mirror. So then I actually took the dark blue paint that I had called Tuscan Teal, and I did around the wheels a little bit and at the top on the hood and around the top of the window. I didn't realize my battery had died, so that's where those blue lines came in. It was just a darker blue paint, and then I went back over that again with some of the antiquing wax just to blend it in so I didn't have any harsh lines. And then I took just a little tiny bit of watered down white paint at the end here, and I was going to add a little bit of a highlight where the sun would hit the truck. So these are the white highlights, and then you just kind of blend it in. I just used my finger, but you can use like a damp paper towel if you like. So now we have both sides of the truck painted as close to the same as we could. I'm just going to take some cut up raffia that I have and roll it into a ball, and then I'm just going to stuff it into the back of the truck. Now you can glue this in if you want to. I didn't find it necessary. It was really stuffed in there, so it wasn't going to go anywhere. And then I'm going to take those little seeds that look like pumpkins and just glue those to the straw. And I did a bunch of different sizes and colors of them and just kind of glued them all over. So some of the bags have a lot more of these seeds in them from the Dollar Tree. So kind of look through them and try to find one that has a lot more of the seeds in it. So then I didn't really like how the top was open. So I took the large craft stick. This was kind of like a last minute thought at the end of the project here. And I just cut them down to size the popsicle stick. And you have to trim the side just a tad to get it to fit right between the top of the truck. So I did the top, like the hood and the roof. And then I did a little part across the front, just so that I would have it completely boxed in there. And I left the window open. As you can see, you just want to put a little bit of hot glue, and then this little piece of the craft stick slides right in between those pieces. And then at the end here, once I had those all glued into place, I just took that patina chalk paint by the Folk Art brand. I painted that onto the craft stick, and then I used some of the antiquing wax just to make it a little bit darker and blend it in with the rest of the truck. I didn't really add much more detail to it than that. But as you can see, I just like it a little bit more closed in. I felt like it gave it more of a finished look. For the back of the truck, I didn't add the craft stick just because the straw was like sticking out the back, and I had pumpkins there, so it just looked like an overstuffed truck with pumpkins and hay. So here's the antiquing wax that I added to the top. And that's it. That's the whole project. It was mostly just painting it and then stuffing it with the little seeds in the straw. It's really easy. It's just a little bit time consuming to paint. But other than that, it was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed these projects. If you did, please check out some of our other crafting projects that I have made over the last few months. We have lots of them on our channel. Like I said, I post those every Thursday, and every Friday I post what is new at the Dollar Tree for the week. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share if you haven't done so already. And I'll see you next time.